Hello and welcome to another How to Code Well web chat. My name's Peter Fisher. Today we're going to talk about degrees and web development and whether or not a degree will enhance your chances and your prospects of a web development career. Before I get into that though, I would like to talk about the degree that I did as well as the courses that led up to that degree. Now, after school, I had no idea what to do in terms of a career. And I liked computers and therefore I decided to do a computer course. Now, I did a HNC first of all in information communication technology, and that gave me a very broad picture, a broad spectrum of the different parts of computers. So, for example, I did modules in building computers, I did modules in accounting, I did modules in very basic programming and VB. And then after that, I still didn't really have a great idea what I wanted to do. Although, because I experienced building computers, I kind of shot that off the list. So I then went on to do a HND in a more business focused course. So that was working in computers within the business sort of spectrum. So that was things like doing feasibility studies, doing more programming but tailored towards business, so more sort of e-commerce calculations, that kind of thing, graphics around creating banners and advertising campaigns and so forth. Now, after that, I still didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew I wanted to do something more business focused. So therefore, and I was really enjoying the graphics as well as the programming side of things. So then I went on to do a degree in e-commerce and multimedia, because it was a degree that allowed me to do programming within the business world as well as also graphics. There was an element of computer games as well. So I was building 3D animations for computer games as well as building e-commerce websites. And it was at that time I learnt Java and PHP and HTML and CSS and so forth. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I used the time as a student to cross off parts of IT that I didn't want to do as a career. And that's one good thing about being a student, because you can experience different things in IT before you become career driven. So what you don't want to end up with is being on a career path that you don't particularly enjoy. So using the time as a student, you can discover what experiences, what fields of IT that you want to fit into, because it's not, a programming is quite a wide spectrum. You could be a programmer for a law firm, you could be a programmer for a robotics company. It's not just web development, there's so much. So use the time as a student wisely. Also, degrees allow you to experience teamwork, working within a team to build an application. So you might have people on your team that are better suited for graphics, better suited at back-end development, better suited at front-end development. So it kind of sets you up for having a career where you're in a development team, where you've got certain skill sets, certain people having different skill sets that can allow you to create the application and meet the deadlines. Another point is having deadlines. So in a degree or any other course, you will be given some deadlines, some modules and some deadlines in which you need to hand those modules in and get marked. With a degree, of course, you have a dissertation, and with a dissertation you get set a series of milestones to meet. So having a degree will also teach you how to read specifications as well as how to write specifications. So for example, with the modules in a degree or in a normal course, you will be set a series of tasks that you need to achieve. Okay, with a degree, when you're doing a dissertation, you need to not only write what it is that you're doing, but also the methodology in which you need to do it. So what software and why you're using that software and so forth. So a degree will also help you learn how to use your time efficiently, because the lecturers aren't going to chase you if you're not handing in your work. That is your own problem. You're failing at that because you are not using your time efficiently. If you're going out and getting plastered every evening instead of actually knuckling down and doing your work, then you are wasting your time. So from a recruitment point of view, if I had one person with a degree and another person without a degree, and they were both applying for this position, I certainly wouldn't dismiss the person who doesn't have a degree, but I would be very interested to find out what they were doing within those 4 years, and whether those things that person was doing they could actually bring to the table and benefit what it is that the company is trying to achieve. So if the person who doesn't have a degree was doing something which was similar or related to what the business is trying to achieve, then that would obviously be a good win. But I would want to see that person was learning programming from in their own time, or using their time wisely within those 4 years. So a lot of people on videos on YouTube have said that maths is pretty irrelevant and maths isn't needed when you're a web developer, and it's pretty pointless having a module of maths in web development or having that as a requirement for the degree. Now, I have to disagree, because I've done a lot of maths in web development. I've needed to do a lot of calculations, especially for the e-commerce side of stuff. So I was tasked to do an e-commerce shopping cart that required promotional codes, that required dealing with percentages, dealing with delivery charges, dealing with delivery charges that had weight as well as region selection. And also working with latitudes and longitudes, so working out whether or not you were close by to certain depots and stuff like that. And look, if you're a front-end developer, you need to know screen sizes, you need to know ratios, you need to know percentages for positioning and layout and grid systems. So there is some maths involved with that as well. So I often hear that having a degree is also a waste of time, because the stuff that they teach you becomes very out of date and is also quite out of date when you start learning it. In some cases that's true, in some cases that isn't. In fact, I remember one of my lecturers telling me that the stuff I was learning in my first year will probably be outdated and expired by the last year, which came as a bit of a shock to me, but it was actually true. We were learning HTML4, we were learning CSS2, and when we graduated, we had HTML5 on the horizon, as well as CSS3. But that's just the way things are. Learning a legacy piece of software, a legacy language, or a legacy version of that language is not a bad thing. Those tools, those skills that you have gained from learning that, you can take with you. You can understand why things have developed and evolved the way they have. And who knows, you might be working on a legacy system in the future where you have to use legacy versions of, say, PHP or Python or ASP or anything like that. So having those skills is a good thing. It's not a waste of time. We did a lot of stuff in XML because XML was seen as the way for APIs. JSON was again just on the horizon. We understood what JSON was, but it was kind of like we never really touched it because XML was seen to be the de facto. But now, you see, I can do XML as well as JSON. So having knowledge in legacy things is not a bad thing at all. You might need to use that down the line. You never know. So having a degree will also show your employer that you are persistent and committed to learning and studying something for a long period of time. So say 4 years or 2 years. And that's far better than someone who doesn't have a degree and has been in and out of different positions and jobs, or just had large portions of time where they haven't done anything, because it's showing the employer that you're able to knuckle down and persevere. A degree is very challenging. It's not an easy thing to achieve. It's a very enjoyable experience as well. So if you have the opportunity to get a degree, then I would certainly jump at it. But it's not for everyone, okay? I'm not going to sit here and say that everybody who is a web developer should have a degree or that you need to have a degree to get a decent career. All I'm going to say is that it will certainly help you out, and it's not a bad thing to have a degree. You're not wasting your time. So I'm going to leave it there. If you've got any comments, questions, or queries, or if you disagree with some of the points that I have made, put them down in the comments section below. I'll be interested to hear from you. Follow me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is @PFWD. Do subscribe and like the video if you found it helpful. And I'll see you again next week. Thanks for watching. Happy coding. Cheers.